What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage video, and today we are talking about one of the newly revealed Pokemon from E3 the other day, Yungoos. Now there are a few things we can say about Yungoos, a few sort of mysteries or a few hints, I guess, that aren't too obvious but we can look into a bit more, and of course we're going to do that. So Yungoos, obviously the loitering Pokemon, we've shown it in the E3 video when it appeared in the wild. And we know it's a very hungry Pokemon, basically. It's always eating, and when it's not eating, it's just being angry, I guess. So Yungoos is that. Now, the reason we are talking about Yungoos in the first place is when it was caught, the Pokedex was just about to open, and as it was, the Rotom overlay just so happened to cover the Pokedex screen. Now, initially it was sort of like, oh damn it, they've started talking about the Pokedex at the wrong time, because they were actually talking about the Pokedex in the background. Now whether we don't know whether it was an overlay just because they started talking about the Pokedex, because Rotom Pokedex actually wasn't in the game at the moment because they hadn't got their Rotom yet. So maybe why would they put the thing up? Why would they start talking about it unless they need to cover something up? Hence, aka the sort of the Pokedex screen there, because obviously we know when you catch a Pokemon, for example, we saw Pikipek get caught, and you can see two more Pokeball symbols to indicate a 3-stage evolution line. But for Yungoos, we didn't see that. We just saw the Pokedex overlay. We didn't get to see what was at the back, so we don't know whether Yungoos is part of a 3-stage evolution line, part of a 2-stage, or a single Pokemon on itself. However, the other thing to think about is that they could, instead of just doing, grouping these evolution lines together, they could group together similar Pokemon. Now, I'll take you back to Generation 3, where we had Zangoose and Seviper. They had a heated rivalry, basically, we were told about in the Hoenn region. They were, heated rivals, and they were next to each other in the Pokedex. Now, I'm assuming for the Alola Dex, or for the National Dex, for example, when we get there in the Pokedex, in the National Pokedex, you have Swablu and Altaria just before together. Now, instead of having Zangoose just having its own page sort of thing, and then Seviper having its own page, they will group them together because they are related Pokemon. While not being, an evolution line, they are related because they're sort of, they're opposites, I guess. Because one, I'm pretty sure Zangoose is exclusive to Ruby, and Seviper is exclusive to Sapphire, so that's why that would be a case there. But so that's what I'm going to assume they're doing. So possibly the reason they covered up Yungoos' Pokedex screen is because it doesn't hint about the evolution line, but it hints about a rivalry. Now, the reason we talk about a rivalry here is because in its Pokedex, or in it online on the Sun and Moon website more specifically, who knows whether it's actually, we talked about the Pokedex, but specifically online on the Pokedex, or online on the site or whatever, it's told that Yungoos is not a Pokemon native to the Alola region, so it doesn't actually come from the Alola region. So there's another region somewhere out there that Yungoos originally comes from. Maybe we'll see that region one day, who knows. But we were told it was brought to the region to help deal with the explosive population of a certain other Pokemon, and now Yungoos are commonly seen around the Alola region. So basically, they were brought to Alola to eradicate a rodent of some sort. Explosive population doesn't have to be a rodent, it could be any other Pokemon. But it was brought to eliminate its Pokemon. Now we could be saying that Yungoos and this other Pokemon have a rivalry together, similar to the Zangoose and Seviper rivalry, because Mongooses, that's obviously what Yungoos is based off of, have a history of being rivals with snakes, for example, hence the Zangoose and Seviper sort of rivalry there. So it's possible there could be a rodent of some sort, or another type of snake that Yungoos has brought to eradicate. And in the Pokedex screen, I'm not saying they're going to be single stage evolutions. I would expect Yungoos to have an evolution, but you could see, Yungoos in the Pokedex could have 3 other balls around it, one being its evolution, and then the other 2 being the evolution of its rival line. Because obviously you wouldn't see, if you saw 3 other Pokeballs, you wouldn't say, oh my god, Yungoos is a 4-stage evolution line. You'd expect it to be a rival of some sort, so that's possibly why it's covered up there. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is, initially when I heard about Yungoos, or saw Yungoos, I thought, wait, is it related to Zangoose? Because obviously Zangoose, obviously Yungoos is just missing the E off the end there. So it was a bit sort of like, in my mind it was like, maybe, because especially Yungoos is called young goose, young goose as in baby goose, or young mongoose. They do it with similar other Pokemon. For example, Skiddo has kiddo in its name, hence, young, or baby, or child, or whatever you want to call it. Whereas, obviously, Go-Go is the full goat, whereas Skiddo is just the kid. So maybe for Yungoos, okay, so Yungoos, so maybe Zangoose is evolution. However, it doesn't really work that well. For example, Yungoos is obviously a quadruped. Zangoose is a bipedal Pokemon. It's not like we've never seen them change before, but it just makes it less likely. And of course, the colour schemes are completely different. Yungoose's colour scheme obviously being brown and yellow, and then Zangoose's being white and red. You could say, oh, that's because this Zangoose is from the Hoenn region. There's going to be a Alola version of Zangoose, which is brown and yellow. Possible, but I doubt it. I don't see it happening, basically. But I just thought it was something interesting to throw out there because, we haven't had evolutions from earlier generations for a while. For example, Generation 4 had loads, we loved that. Generation 5 had none because Generation 5 was all about a whole set of new Pokemon that were unrelated. And then Generation 6, obviously being about Mega Evolutions, didn't really have time to do extra evolutions apart from obviously Sylveon. So it would make sense for a few more of those types of evolutions to come back in Alola, just to see some more evolutions or pre-evolutions of previous Pokemon. It would be cool. Who knows if it's going to happen? But I just thought it was something interesting I'd throw out there. Who knows if I doubt Yungoos and Zangoose are related. But of course, if you think so, let me know down below, because that's a sort of I won't say a controversial opinion, but it's a different opinion, of course. And also let me know where you think Yungoos comes from. Obviously, it's another region we haven't seen. Do you ever think we're going to see this region? Like, do you think Generation 8 is going to be in this region, and Yungoos is also going to be there as the sort of the Pokemon that's around? Maybe, who knows? Let me know what you think about this down below. Do you think there's any sort of hidden rivalry behind Yungoos, hence why we didn't get to see the Pokédex screen? Let me know what you think down below. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.